Greetings, loyal subjects. Every school child in England will tell you that I had 3 children, each of who grew up to be monarch of England in their own right. Firstly, my son and heir, Edward, who became Edward VI. Then my eldest daughter, Mary, who became Mary I, sometimes referred to as Bloody Mary, for her love of burning Protestants. And then finally, the most celebrated of the 3, Elizabeth, who became Elizabeth I, sometimes referred to as the Virgin Queen or Gloriana. 1 or 2 school children in England might be able to tell you that I also had an illegitimate son with one of my long-standing mistresses. He was called Henry Fitzroy. I openly acknowledged him. I made him a double duke, the only one in the country, and I actually had plans at one stage for him to take the throne on my death. However, he died shortly after the execution of Anne Boleyn, and then I married Jane and had Edward. But everybody seems to forget poor Henry, Duke of Cornwall, my firstborn son. He was born on the 1st of January, 1511, at Richmond Palace, to my first wife, Catherine of Aragon. It was 18 months after our wedding and our coronation. Catherine had already given birth once before, almost a year previously, on the 31st of January, 1510. Unfortunately, it was a stillborn daughter who hadn't reached term. Now, on the 1st of January, 1511, I very quickly had a son and heir. The bells of London rang out in celebration. The people went out onto the streets and lit bonfires. Free wine was provided for people to celebrate. I personally rode off to Walsingham in Norfolk, to the great shrine there, and gave thanks for the safe delivery of my son. On the 5th of January, young Henry had a lavish christening. His godmother was Margaret of Austria, and his godfather was King Louis XII of France, who sent a rather generous gift of a gold salt holder and cup, weighing in at a little over 3.1 kilos. Immediately at his birth, Henry was created Duke of Cornwall. It was the traditional title given to heirs to the throne. You may be aware that on the recent death of Queen Elizabeth II and the accession of King Charles to the throne, Prince William immediately became Duke of Cornwall. Unlike the title Prince of Wales, it does not have to be formally granted by the monarch. So immediately on his birth, young Henry was Duke of Cornwall. And I decided to hold a special celebration tournament in order to celebrate my new son's birth. It's become known to history as the Westminster Tournament. A challenge was issued that said 4 challengers had come to accomplish certain feats of arms in honour of the birth of a young prince. These 4 challengers were given strange and mysterious names. I was one of them, and I fought under the name of Sir Loyalheart. However, despite the great tournament, despite the celebrations on the streets, on the 22nd of February, just 52 days after young Henry's birth, he died at Richmond Palace. The causes of his death remain unknown. He was buried on the 27th of February in Westminster Abbey, somewhere close to the high altar. When a new altar was being constructed by Gilbert Scott in the 1860s, a small lead coffin was found near the northern parts of the steps, close to the altar. It was left undisturbed, but it is believed that this was the grave of poor Henry, Duke of Cornwall.